Hi, Davinia here from Phoenix Digital. We're a digital consultancy and web development agency. And I am on a mission to help brands and marketeers from getting their fingers burnt when it comes to choosing their next digital partner. Because there is a problem in our industry and it leaves people and businesses far too often stranded with a website further on down the line after it's been built 2 or 3 years later that they can't access. They don't know how to update, they don't know where it's hosted, and it leaves people in a bit of a pickle, and we hear it all too often. So what I wanted to do was just talk to you a little bit about the decision-making process when it comes to finding the right digital partner to deliver your next project, because they are difficult projects to manage. They take a long time to build and they can be expensive as well. So you need to get it right at the beginning so that you're getting into bed with the right person. So just to recap the several options that you have available to you, broadly speaking, you can speak to a freelance developer, which sounds a sensible route because you've got a digital project that needs building and a developer has made a business out of building websites. The problem with this though, and there are several problems with it really, the freelance developer has to be so many different things. So they have to be the designer, the front end developer, the back end developer, the UX planner, and the project manager. And they're just one person. And on top of that, they have probably chosen to go freelance because they enjoy the flexibility that comes with that role. So whilst they will do a good job because that is what they do, it is likely that they will be difficult to get hold of during the process. And that becomes frustrating because you've got commitments to meet, you've got people to report to and keep up to date. And, you know, to be fair, developers don't really like speaking on the phone too much. They might prefer to work in the evening. So it just makes the process a little bit more difficult. The other thing to bear in mind is that once that website has gone live, and this is the case whichever route you go down really, the most important thing is, okay, the website's delivered and it's fine and it's all good and it works and it's lovely. Always think to the future. Once that website has gone live, it is not done. A website's never finished. Yes, you can live with it and work with it and it will do some fantastic, deliver some fantastic results for you. But then at some point in the future, whether it's 6 months, 12 months or 3 years down the line, at some point that website will need an update. Whether it's the core code base that needs updating, whether the design needs a bit of a refresh, there might be a business decision and a strategic decision in the business where the website needs to cater to do something else. And these things happen all the time, of course. If you have built that website through a freelance developer, that developer is most likely to have moved on now. They might have got a job, they might have a 6-month contract and not be available for a while. They might have moved to Australia. There's just so many moving parts involved. And that person has moved on, you know, quite rightly. They've done what you asked them to do, you paid them to do it, and now they've moved on to something else. And that really is the critical point. And this is what we hear all the time. People coming to us and saying, well, we had this website built a few years ago, can't get hold of the guy who built it for us. We don't know where it is. We're not too sure what the access codes are, you know, and things like this. And it then becomes expensive because you shouldn't really be having to rebuild a website a few years later on. Refresh it, yes, by all means, but you shouldn't really having to rebuild it. However, the developer route is going to be the most affordable option. And of course, I can see why that would be appealing. If you just need a straightforward website, content managed, and it's just a fairly basic brochure type site, then it's a very viable route. But just be aware that there may well be problems later on when you come to needing to access it a few years later or something. So, I mean, the other option, of course, is that you can go to a marketing agency, and most agencies will claim that they can do digital in-house. They offer digital services. which is absolutely fine. And there are many agencies in Manchester alone who will provide that service. But before you hand over your PO, just check that they actually do it in-house, because if they are a branding, creative, design type led agency, then they are more likely, and I'm speaking very broadly here, they are more likely to outsource the digital development side of things. And then you're sort of in the same situation as the freelance developer route. Okay, they're taking more of the risk, but it ultimately does end up being your problem. Because the same thing later on down the line, if that relationship between the agency and whoever's built it is broken down, you're sort of left in a bit of limbo again. You would expect them though to have all the required access and passwords and everything, so it is slightly less risk, but it is a risk and it does happen. A client we picked up very recently actually was in that situation where he spent a lot of money with an agency who just farmed it out to a freelance developer, and then now he's left with a site that he can't update. So it does happen. You can speak to a digital marketing, of course, digital marketing agency, of course. That would also be a sensible route. And again, you would expect them to build in-house and have the technical know-how and all the knowledge and everything that goes with technical build. So the couple of points just to be aware of if you decide to work with a digital marketing agency is just check that they are a digital development agency and not an SEO agency or digital marketing agency who just so happen to have somebody at the back of the room who knows how to work WordPress, for example. Because again, although the risk is less, it is still a bit of a risk. If it's not their core service, if they are focusing on SEO and digital marketing and PPC and things like that, then they are very, very good at doing that. And their focus will not be so much on the digital development. So it all just depends on what your brief is. If your website is there to do a job, if your website is your business, then it is hugely, hugely important that that website is built to high standards, best practice, and it is on a host server that is giving you optimum performance, and also that you are trusting the person to still be there in a few years' time to continue to develop, to make it better, to improve it and optimize that performance. It just makes for a far better and less stressful situation later on down the line. You can, of course, try and build it yourself in-house, but I would advise not doing that because there are, again, many dangers involved. It's not your, it perhaps isn't your first skill, and you've got a day job to do at the same time. And also what happens when you leave, if you were to leave that business, all the knowledge goes with you. So again, it's just not the best idea. My recommendation is do your research before you hand over your brief and your PO. Make sure that you know exactly who's building it, what the safeguarding they have in place as an individual or as an agency. Make sure that you have service maintenance and hosting services provided as part of the overall build. It will come with a monthly fee, but it's worth it. It's like an insurance policy. And you buy people, so make sure that whoever you're getting into bed with is somebody that you can enjoy working with, that you have a good relationship with. Don't just buy on price, don't just buy on experience, buy on the relationship. Thank you.